Well, hello there. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. We are here with Sandy Preisberg for Fridays with Sandy.
Yahoo, folks. Hello. Glad to see you.
And we have Zach here on the line from New York City, where I am today to tour the new Columbia Business School. It's opening in January. Zach has a GRE of 321, a GPA of 3.6 from Sam Houston State. He started off doing investment banking, actually was as a banking analyst. He is now a consultant at Wells Fargo, an internal consultant. He wants to get an MBA to work in consulting in big tech. His choice schools are Chicago Booth, UPenn Wharton, Yale, Duke, and Dartmouth Tuck. So what do you think, Sandy?
Zach, let me just get a few points here. We've got like a 640 GMAT equivalent, and you might be facing the need. You say you want to, you told us privately you want to apply not for the next round, but for matriculate in 2023, if my math is right. So you'll be facing retaking. You might be facing retaking the GMAT or the GRE anyway, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Given the GPA is 353 is for a white male is probably below or kind of at those schools. I think taking the new standardized test, whichever one you prefer, would be really well advised, whether you have to or not. That's one of the Achilles heels in your story. Okay, let me, right now you're working at Wells Fargo. Yeah, do people from your program apply to business school?
Yeah, so my direct managing director is a Tuck alum. He would be one of my references. And my other.
Okay, that's good, but that's not the question I asked. Do people that your direct managing guy, I'm talking about people who are working with you at Wells Fargo, peers or people a year ahead of you, 2 years ahead of you. Do they apply to business?
Some of them do. We had one recently go to UNC, Kellogg, and then one in Kellogg as well. So
okay, that's the best. That's the best predictor of your story. Were those guys, do you know their background? Was there anything about those guys dramatically different than you, if you know, in terms of they were doing the same thing? And do you know their GPA? Do you know their stats?
I don't know their stats, but they do come from a similar background where they left the investment banking side and came into the consulting side.
Okay. That's the best evidence of what your chances are. You should reach out to those guys just to, find out what they said, what they did, how they like it, etc.
Okay.
Your first job, you graduated Sam Houston State University. How was that?
It was good. Yeah. Played baseball there for a few years. Ended up wanting to focus on school, helped start the investment club, started from about 5 kids. And by my senior year, we had 20 to 25 consistently showing up for meetings.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's all powerful. You're one of these guys. That's all very tucky. You're a friendly guy. You're from Texas. You like joining clubs. You're an athlete. All that is going to play well.
Were you a recruited athlete?
Yeah, I was on scholarship, and then we had a coach change, and then that scholarship disappeared a couple of years in.
Well, sorry to hear that. Okay, so then tell me about your first job. Your first job is at Amagi Bank in Houston?
Correct, yeah. So I joined them in 2018. They had a development program, which was about a year and a half long, did rotations throughout the bank, and then was promoted to an associate in the corporate bank, which I spent another year and a half in.
All right. You should put that you were in a rotational development program on your resume. It may be there, but I didn't see it.
Okay.
That's like real important. Schools like that. They like everything about it. Okay, so you were there for how long?
About 2.5 years, 2.5 years.
So did that go beyond the rotational program and then you got
Correct.
okay, and then explain your next move is to Park Sutton Advisors. I'm not familiar with that. What is that?
Sure, yeah. So that I moved from Houston to New York to join Park Sutton. It's a boutique investment bank, very active in the market. So got to work on a ton of live deals, which was great. Joined them in November of 2020 and then left in May 2021 to join Wells Fargo, which I've been since.
Okay, if I'm doing the math right here, you were at Park Sutton Advisors for 7 months.
Yeah, plus or minus a month or.
Yeah, okay. That needs some explaining here. Not that it's bad, but don't you think, John?
Yeah, probably. Why did you leave so quickly to go to
Sure,
Wells
yeah.
Fargo?
So, I mean, like I said, we were very active in the market. Wells Fargo had taken note of that, had a managing director reach out to me. We hit it off. We connected very well. And they let me know they were building out their internal strategy team for their corporate and investment bank. Wanted to know if I wanted a better work-life balance, wanted to help grow it.
So that's a good story. You were actively recruited by Wells Fargo, so that's a positive, and it was a big deal and a big promotion for you, and an opportunity you couldn't turn down.
Yeah, could that
Exactly.
would that guy be one of your recommenders?
Yeah, so he's actually the Tuck alum. He's my direct report as well.
Okay, so that guy could really help you. Tuck is a school that is open to keeping it in the family, don't you think, John?
Yeah, and you're right, Sandy. He looks like a Tuck guy. He feels like a Tuck guy. The whole athlete thing. I think you could do really well there, and it would be a perfect place.
Yeah,
for you,
just get a Tuck GMAT. Okay, they're a little likely. They're a top school that might blink at a lower score, but don't make them work. Okay, just
their average GRE for the last class is 320, so you're 1 point above it. But like we said before, you've got the problem of working in essentially banking as a white male. So when you look at these averages, you have to know.
Yeah, well, what's the white male average at Tuck?
Yeah, it's a totally different score for you, really. So the average kind of doesn't count for you, which is why we really think you got to take the test again.
Yeah, so you're competing in the white male bucket and you're competing in the banking bucket, and those are tough buckets.
And let me just be honest about this too, Sandy. Okay, so we graduated from Sam Houston State. Perfectly fine school, but you're gonna be competing against people in public Ivies, near Ivies, Ivy League schools. So that's why your standardized test score is even more important.
Good point. Do you have any idea what your class standing was at, what do they call it? SHS or Sam Houston or Houston?
No, I don't know the exact placement, I guess, in my class, but I would assume it was probably in the higher percentile.
You mean the top half?
Definitely the top half, yeah.
Okay, so let's get it all together here. White male, Sam, Houston State University. That's it's not a feeder school, but it's acceptable. Kind of like a 3.53 GPA. That's not a knockout, not embarrassing. And then we've got this 640 GMAT equivalent, which is a kind of issue. And you're working at Wells Fargo, which is a good place. You've said that people from your job at Wells Fargo have one guy who went from a peer job to Tuck. Is that what you said?
To UNC and Northwestern. They were about a year ahead of me.
Okay. That's
So
the
Sandy,
best predictor.
besides retaking the test, I think school selection is a big issue here. Because let's say he retakes the test. I don't think he's going to blow it out. So is it a waste of time to apply to Yale and Wharton in particular, and maybe even Chicago Booth? And should he be applying to a few other schools where he's got a better shot?
Well, John, here's a question. Tell him some schools that he's got a better shot. This is up your
I think
alley.
UVA Darden. I think NYU Stern, right in New York. I think Michigan, and I think UCLA, because you want to be in big tech, and there's a lot of tech out there. I think those are schools that I would be applying to, and I would drop Yale, Wharton, and Chicago Booth, because I don't think, even with an improved GRE, let's say
you're not
three
getting
or 4
you're not
points.
getting into Wharton, and you're not getting into Booth. Wharton is just too selective. Booth puts a lot of faith in numbers where your numbers are not your strong point. I think Duke and Dartmouth, you're a Dartmouth kind of guy in terms of look and feel, but the numbers there are also, for a white male, on it's no dowry. So I agree with John. If you want to be sure that you're going to business school, I would apply to the schools he mentioned, or some of them as safety schools.
I mean, the other thing is, look, you're not going to apply for another year, so you do have the time to study for the test, whether it's the GRE or the GMAT. Maybe you even get yourself a tutor. You're probably making good money at Wells Fargo. Get yourself a tutor, and if you can significantly increase your score, you would have a shot. I still think I like you. Look, Tuck, you'd have a better shot at, and that's probably a great place for you. Duke too, and then again, Michigan, UCLA, UVA Darden, NYU Stern. And if you really wanted to go to Columbia Business School, right, you should apply January instead of the fall and do the accelerated MBA program. I think you can get in.
Well, that's an interesting suggestion. Isn't that accelerated program for people going back to the same job or industry usually, John? Do you know, Zach, do you know what we're talking about?
To transition into what he wants to do.
Yeah, Zach, do you know what we're talking about?
The acceptance rate on the January cohort is big. Big accept rate.
Is the accelerated program for Columbia a one-year program, I'm guessing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a little more than a year, but it's because you're going to go over some.
So, John, if I were to apply to that, let's say, and hypothetically get accepted, like Sandy had mentioned, kind of wanting to change industries, I guess you could say, without that summer internship, where do you think that put me?
I think you'd still be able to do it because there's a lot of experience you're learning where you work on projects that can be related to what you want to do. And you can use that instead of an internship to get in.
I'd look into that. John, what is this your opinion, or do you have any? Is this your informed opinion?
I reverse engineered the stats at Columbia, and the accept rate for the January cohort is like 3 to 4 times, 3 times what it is for the fall cohort.
But
and it's
what about the second part of that?
Yeah, well, it's Columbia. You're going to have a lot of great alumni connections. I think you could make it happen. I mean, I always prefer 2-year programs with a good summer internship. That is my preference, frankly. And I think
Zach, what job do you want? Zach, let's cut to another chase here. What job do you want after business school?
Yeah, I would prefer to stay in the strategy, growth, operations kind of role, just at a bigger tech firm than financial services.
John, don't you think he should say he just wants to be a general consultant?
Yes, because that will make them think it'll be easier to place you.
Yeah, I mean, do the banks you want to work for, do they visit business schools? Do you know, Zach?
Um,
But Zach wants to
No.
work in big tech, not banks, right?
yeah,
I'm sorry.
Correct.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so you want to do Microsoft,
Yeah.
Google, Amazon, yeah, Apple, etc.
Yeah. Okay, so they visit business schools, of course.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Hey, John, do you know how much easier it is to get a job at, let's say, Apple or Google from, UVA versus Booth?
I'd say it's pretty much the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I think once you start competing against your bucket, once you go to the school for the next job, the within reason. Your school outcome isn't critical. Of course, everybody likes to go to the best school they get into.
Here's one mistake you can make. You're going to have a recommender from Tuck. Tuck would be great for you. So you sit on your GRE score the way it is. Mistake. You've got to have a better score for Tuck as a white male coming from the banking industry. You have to. Your Tuck recommender won't be able to pull a rabbit out of the hat. So you're going to have to buckle down and get a better score to get the Tuck.
Yeah, here's some more depressing news for our viewers. Your standardized test score doesn't stop when you get admitted to business school. When you interview for investment banking or consultant, they often ask you for your GMAT score. It's a depressing truth. Just saying. Isn't that right, John?
Yeah, so just, Zach, suck it up. Spend 3 months, study for the damn test. I hate it. You hate it. We all hate it. Get a better score. And if Dartmouth takes you, go there. It'll be a great experience.
My advice is
I love the school.
My love is even tougher there. Man, take the test and keep taking it, okay? To whatever, there is limits, but that's a little bit of pain in your life that has a very powerful payoff.
And what score do you think I should target that would make me competitive for the upper echelon of schools?
Tell them what D. Leopold said about standardized test scores, John.
Anything 7 with a 7 in front of it is okay with her.
Yeah, she said D. Leopold was, the secret Valentine of me and John, but before that, she was the director of admissions at Harvard Business School. She now runs the 2+2 program. She once said, I don't care what your GMAT score is, so long as it starts with a 7. I'm not sure that's true at Harvard, but it's true with you.
And incidentally, Duke would be terrific for you as well. And Tim Cook at Apple is a Duke alum. And they do very well in placing people in big tech.
So I think you got any questions for us, Zach?
No, I think you've covered them all. Got to go to the drawing board and get that test score up.
It's a tough pill, but it pays off, man. There are very few things in your life that could, I don't want to sound over dramatic. I'm not talking about health problems, but there are very few things in your professional life that could make this much of a difference. So it's really worth sucking it up.
Definitely.
All right, Zach, good luck to you. And for all of you out there, good luck on your MBA journey. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. You've been watching Fridays with Sandy.
Shalom, everybody, and have a good weekend. Good luck, Zach.